all revolutions, at the end, they turn from the euphoria to the disillusion.
Would you still join this party if not your friends?
Are you satisfied with what you're doing, or you could do more?
The parliament took more power.
Criticism that members of parliament are disengaged with their voters.
Why do we have this lack of trust?
Reforms as per its own values.
We want the people to be, the proud.
High sounding, right? Yeah, we are all proud of being Uzbeks, but it doesn't feed us.
Member of party, that's it. You don't quit from the party. So you belong to the party.
Welcome to our today's podcast in Tashkent. We are here to discuss upcoming parliamentary elections. Today's our guest is Jahongir Abdurasulov. He is a seasoned economist, a politician. He studied extensively in the United States, in the United Kingdom, continued his education in Japan. He has worked about 20 years in Central Bank of Uzbekistan before joining Parliament in 2020. In Parliament, he has worked at the Committee for Budget and Economic Issues within the Legislative Chamber of Oliy Majlis. Welcome, Jahongir.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for inviting to your podcast.
So, Mr. Abdurasulov, you have such a great experience. You've studied in United States, in United Kingdom, in Japan, and now the question arises, why Milliy Tiklanish?
Thanks for question. If you look a little bit to the history, in 1991, when we Uzbekistan became an independent country, so our government sent some students to abroad as an exchange students, to bring the foreign experience and the foreign education to Uzbekistan. And I was lucky that time, and I was one of the chosen students to study abroad. So in 1991, I went to the United States, to the Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, and as an exchange student. And we studied introduction to the business and the accounting and other business class. We took the business classes. But, it was, maybe it is, some my lack or something. One of my teachers, one of my professor was a trusted, representative of the George W. Bush Senior, and he was, in his campaign. So for that time, for me, it was, the unusual. Since we had that time, we were just independence. I didn't know what's the party, and in my childhood, we knew only the communist party. So, but that time, the Uzbekistan was start to, develop, and parties, new parties came out. So at that time, so I was in his class, and we went. He invited, of course, to his to this election campaign, and we support in 3-4 the meetings George Bush Senior. So that time it was the kind of interesting thing for me. Then came back to Uzbekistan and the started to work for the central bank. Then later went to the United Kingdom to study to develop my master's degree. And then later in 2000s, again to Japan to further study my master's in Waseda University. But during this period and during this the first years of the independence, our economy was just standing in a development stage, in a new market transition period. So I took some economic experiences or development of the West, and tried to use in a banking system. But as per your question, why the Milliy Tiklanish party? I went to the politicians? In 2009, I studied as a public policy, public administration at the academy, President's Academy. And at that time, I had the group mates are the members of the political parties, and they actively just introduced me the different parties.
They recruited you.
Yeah, kind of recruitment.
Party.
But not the only Milliy Tiklanish. We had the members of the Uzlida party and other the Adalat party and other parties. But I've chosen the Milliy Tiklanish party.
I see.
So before I ask the next question, I'll just, for the record, for our subscribers, I want to mention that Jahongir is one of very few who came back to Uzbekistan after winning Umid Fonda scholarship, right? Like many like owners of this scholarship decide to stay, but you came back. It's interesting, and like I have a question. It is interesting to me because like why you decide to go to the parliament. Why I'm asking this question, most people with this kind of background, like studied in top universities, they are more interested going to the executive because it has more power. It has, I don't know, maybe your salaries are better, but in my opinion, salaries are better in the executive. So why do you decide to go to the parliament?
It's an interesting question, because when you work for more than 20 years for the government, for the bank, especially in a banking system, you see the shortcomings in a policy. You see the lack of the legislation system. We brought experience from abroad, like for the development and the best practices, let's say, in an economic system, in a banking system. But when you bring the economic system, and you see the legislation is not working, so you cannot implement your the education or your experience. That's why I just looked for everything and just looked through, and I decided I had to go to the parliament and change the legislation for the better development of the country. So that was the reason me going for the parliament. Otherwise, you can get. I mean, as you said, I could stay in other countries, in States or in Japan or in the UK, because at that time they also needed, the specialists who knows the Central Asian economy. But I said, when the government is paying to me, it's not from my pocket. I didn't spend my money from my pocket, so it was the people's money. So I have to come back and have to work. I mean, and just give back all contribution, people's contribution. When I came back and see the problems, and then I decided not to quit or not to go to the private sector, stay with the government and change or just invest my my power or my, let's say, the strength to the legislation. And in this case, I could achieve my goal. So what I saw in West or in Japan, so I did my best job, and I could see that I will be I don't want to be disappointed at that time. So I should accomplish my goal, my the mission. That's why I went to the parliament, and I think I did many changes, or just gave many proposals to make better legislation and economic sphere.
Jahongir, I have a follow-up question. Like, let's pretend that you didn't have your friends in Milliy Tiklanish who encouraged you to be a member of this party, right? Would you still join this party if not your friends?
Yes, I would join, exactly, because when you're staying abroad and the people ask, where are you from? So since it was in the beginning of the 90s, so people thought, they knew Soviet Union. When you say Soviet Union, it's a Soviet Union. That's it. That's one country, Soviet red country. But when I say, no, I'm from Uzbekistan, independent Uzbekistan, people say Pakistan, no, Uzbekistan. And the pronunciation was also difficult for them. Uzbekistan, they difficultly pronounced. But then you start to explain them. This is the country in Central Asia. It's the Great Silk Road and the other things. And you explain, and you give another the opposite question. What is the word of they just look at you and say this is a small country and they don't know your nation, and you ask the opposite question. You know what does the medicine means? You ask the question. No, it's medicine. So this is from us, from Uzbekistan. So medicine comes from the word madad sina. So it means help of Sina. When people want to get a cure, so this Avicenna, Abu Ali ibn Sina, he's from Khwarizm, as I said. So from that time, he started to cure the people. When in the West there was no, the doctors, and the people say madad sina. This word went to the West and saying the medicine.
So you mean that like this kind of issues touched your heart like negatively as it did mine, because I like did so many degrees in various countries. I also face this kind of issue. Pakistan, they know Afghanistan, which is a troublesome country. When I say Uzbekistan, they're like looking Pakistan, and like I don't like this. I want my country to be known to other peoples, like peoples living in the West.
It's interesting, you get your strong nationalism, especially when you're abroad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, Jahongir, you're not a quitter. You've worked 20 years in central bank, and then you joined parliament, and now you've finished your first term, and now you're going for a second term, right? And now the question arises, are you satisfied with what you're doing, or you could do more maybe within the parliament, or maybe you would wish to see that some things are different within the parliament?
No, I'm happy to continue with the parliament. So I think it was, the last 7 years, the parliament took more power, in the life of the people, and in deciding just making the new laws on economic issues, in a social, let's say, in any issues. So parliament members became more active and just giving more proposals and more to make better life of the people. So I think from 2020 the budget started to be adopted in a parliament, yearly budget.
Yeah,
so
it was more transparent, I guess.
More transparent.
We saw transparency, accountability, right, lately.
Correct. So the people and the parliament members could, give their suggestions and ask, for example, if I am elected from Andijan region, from Asaka district, so I could ask from the Minister of Finance and the money allocation for my region, and then monitor and control the budget spendings.
Yeah, but do the people see it? I mean, do you interact with your voters? I mean, we don't see. We hear a lot of that criticism that members of parliament are disengaged with their voters. They don't interact with them. They mostly become more active during the parliamentary elections.
At the end of each month, we visit to our regions, and we make meetings with the people, and we listen to their the questions or to their problems. But a problem is they're different. Now still we have a gap between the electorate and the parliament members, because I think we need more professional. We need more professionalism in a parliament. For example, people now the candidate or parliament members are not only the economists. They are the teachers or the
of course
educators,
they should be from various sectors of society, yeah.
But the people's problem are that now, not like in a foreign country. Sorry, in a foreign country, people just give a different problems. The white problems, but our problems is, for example, when you meet with the people, they say problem with the road, with the infrastructure, economic problems,
economic needs, yes, road, electricity, gas.
Yes,
right?
yeah. That's why some parliament members might not be, capable to answer to these questions. But what I can say now, we explain what is adopted about the new laws, about the adopted laws, and about the new budget system, and I think you are aware of maybe you've heard, you live in Uzbekistan, about the
Budget,
initiative
yeah.
budget, so how the people are,
You mean the
work-
open budget, right?
Open budget,
budget,
correct.
yeah.
So we explained to the people, to be honest with you, in 2021 that was a pilot project of my Minister of Finance, and 14 regions. I mean, they selected with one district out of their region, and I was aware because I was working for the budgetary committee. I said we have to start piloting with the the Asaka
your
district.
district.
So and I explained when I went, and I explained just how to the vote for the open budget and what can we do, and we explained. And people, for example, in my district, there are 52 the people's gatherings, neighborhood, let's say, Mahala communities. So I make the meetings with them at least within the 5 years, maybe in each the Mahala community. I made about 4 or 5 times I met with them within this time, because every time you go and you should feel accountable to the people.
Yeah. How many mahalas you have in your constituency?
54 mahalas.
54 mahalas. And you
yes.
went like at least 5 times to each of
to
them.
each of them. Yeah.
Each of them within like 4 years. Right?
Within the 4 years.
Within
yeah.
4
but
years.
More, but not only in Mahalla. I mean, when I visit the Mahalla only, but I make a meeting in the mayor's office in a different meetings. But and in some cases, when I go to the region, I make a meeting at the Hakimiyat's building. When people come, on Saturdays, on weekends, they visit. I mean, for the to meet the mayor, and we make the together, the meetings. Yeah. So people start to understand, but they see the results. When they see the result, then people start to trust you.
Yeah, it's a very good practice when city administration, mayors, they meet people. We call receiving people, right? Mm-hmm. It's a good practice. People know that if they go, they can reach directly the mayor or some other chiefs, and then they can resolve their issues, at least voice their issues. So it's a good practice that members of parliament also join those meetings and then interact, and I believe they also contribute to addressing people's needs.
But on the other hand, don't you think there would be lack of trust in this case? You are an elected politician, right? You're in the parliament, but on the other hand, you're conducting a meeting in the Hakimiyat, which is the executive building. Don't you think that it will negatively influence the trust issue? One issue. So I want to ask a follow-up question. Sorry, today I'm a follow-up questioner in this podcast, right? So another issue is that you listed so many things that you did, and this is not only case with you, but I talked to other parliament MPs. They also say they list, I did that, I did that. But on the other hand, why do we have this lack of trust? People do not trust not only government, but parliament per se. Yeah, what are the reasons behind these issues?
There is some kind of genuine concern that, the members of parliament are not that effective as they could be. For example, people see politicians in other countries. They see that how they are effective. They bring other government people, servants, make them accountable. They criticize them. We don't see much, I believe, here in Uzbekistan.
Yeah, if I talk in general, let's say in all revolutions, at the end they turn from the euphoria to the disillusion. Yeah. So the main task of each parliament member is not to lose the trust of the people, not to disappoint them. So why the people they get disappointed? Because when the parliament member, when they go to at the election, when they they take the commitments, just doing in each the party has its own program for the election, and they don't accomplish the commitment, then they get disappointed. Or this is the first thing. On the other hand, I would say that people are not, politically literated. So that's political literacy is very important in Uzbekistan, which we don't pay that much attention, because the legislative chamber of our parliament, we should take we should learn and take the proposals of the people and write a laws in a parliament. They have to see what's the problem and solve the problem. That we have to write a laws which serves the people.
Oh, it means that like people misperceive your role. Like you make laws, you don't provide electricity to the people, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
It's
That's what
difficult
I
for
mean.
people to
Yeah.
discern their powers or purposes of executive chamber, legislative chamber of the government.
Correct. And they have to, in the local councils, they should work with that problem.
Yeah,
So
of course.
we have a local, in a district level, in a regional level, we have a local councils. Though they have to work with these problems.
Of course, but let's talk about legislative chamber and its issues. So when we look into their activities of members of parliament, so I wonder whether there is, there is one of the root causes of maybe distrust. Is it because there is not enough powers of legislative chamber or members of parliament, or because there are not enough skilled specialists or more dedicated specialists that can be more vocal on issues that people are thinking about?
I think it's the both, because as you say, the specialists are dedicated, but I don't think the role, the power of the parliament is less, because we have adopted new constitution. In a constitution, in Article 93, we empowered the parliament with more the role with more powers, and it was ridiculous that in a local councils there was the mayors were the head of the local councils, and the executive body, and that's strange. So this is changed, from 2026, and they will not be the head of the local council, of speakers of the local councils. So, but we have a power, but in a new constitution, it was given a lot of power to the parliament. We have to use it, like parliament, the control we have to use, all that, like with the budget. So we start with the last, the election from 2020, so to adopt the budget. So we have to. We don't have that experience just going every time abroad, and now MPs are also only asking about the budget allocation to the interest area. Let's say that about the budget. Did you allocate the money, let's say, to the medical sphere, or to the let's say education, or to my the region? But we have to look more broader, and first of all, we have to not to ask the money to my region. We have to solve the systematic problem. Systemic problem. So the problem is here. The priority is education, let's say. So we have to give more money, so to develop our country, or just to reduce the poverty. It could be any cause. So we have to prioritize our things. So in this case, then we have to follow up, get feedback, follow up, monitor, and control. So we have a power of the parliamentary control, so we have to use this power more efficiently.
Of course, but the issue is not just allocation of money, but your approach of how to address the issues, how to promote reforms. Do you think Milliy Tiklanish is active in promoting reforms as per its own values?
Yes, we are becoming more active and active. The last years, even the government and our presidents paying more attention to the education and upbringing the people. And as you know, our main slogan is development based on the values, and the value, the family value, or the family is, we say, the cradle of the value, and we'll look to the historical development, our cultural heritage, and all of these things we start to develop in our program. And as you know, the last our president had met with the teachers. I mean, we had a Teachers' Day, you know, yesterday. So he met and he gave his, you know, the visions on a development of the education system. And before, education was a separate, and the upbringing of the, you know, the youth was a separate. So our party considers the upbringing of the youth or children and education should not be separated, should be together. It should start from the kindergarten, preschool, and the high school, and the others. So we started to promote and support education and the values, and these terms and this our program is coming to the president's plans or strategy, Uzbekistan strategy for the future.
I see. But when we think of Milliy Tiklanish, we think of national values, we think of maybe sometimes protectionism. So how protective is Milliy Tiklanish? How nationalist is Milliy Tiklanish? And if, for example, we think about Uzbekistan, you're talking about national values, but there are so many ethnic minorities in Uzbekistan. So isn't it like discriminating other ethnic minorities in Uzbekistan, because there are over 100 different ethnicities in Uzbekistan?
It's a good question. Like Atabek said, when he was abroad, so he wanted to be proud of his an Uzbek, but you know, that's why we should not confuse the nationalistic and you know, let's say the patriotic. We are patriotic, but not the nationalistic. Like we are not we don't make any, you know, we don't say that this nation is not, I mean, is a superior nation, and this is not the superior nation. But our party, you know, respects all the nations, even minority nations, and respects values. Now, we don't say the values of Uzbek people. We say the values, I mean, the historic value based on, I mean, our development based on value. It could be a value of the different nation, which is you know, the useful for us, or we could use. I mean, that's why we always, you know, respect the values of other nations also, and we also, it's not only national values. We respect the universal values, you know, universal accepted the values as well, and as protective, if you mean in terms of the national economy, I don't know. But the protective, you know, the values in building a society with a powerful state, rely on a powerful state, and we say the values should be above all. And as we say, our motto is we are the whole, and we are from Uzbekistan.
I see.
You know, so when I was in the United States first time, I saw the flags in their houses. I said, I don't know, is it the office? Why they're putting the flags? I didn't understand that time. You know, the last time, and I mean, one of our, you know, the adoptions of our parties in introduction to the law, like using, you know, the emblems and flags.
Well, finally.
Finally.
Why can't we use it? Like, it boosts our patriotism, right? If we do.
Of course. I mean, you can use now.
Yeah, it was strange to see, you know, that you weren't allowed to use your flag in front of your house or in the car. It was considered as a kind of disrespect, right? And
it was not allowed that time, and only you could use in a government, you know, official buildings in a special place. And now you can use, even if you go to my region right now, you can see go to the Andijan to Asaka city, on the, you know, on the road you see the flags in the houses and the people.
So it was initiative of Milliy Tiklanish.
Yes, it was initiative of the Milliy Tiklanish. So we want the people to be, you know, the proud, you know, that they're Uzbeks, and we want
Uzbekistanis.
Let me intervene here, like, and let me put myself into the shoes of people living in rural areas. Like, your words are pompous, like high sounding, right? Yeah, we are all proud of being Uzbeks, but it doesn't feed us. Like, just imagine people staying at the poll station and choosing among these 5 parties. Why should I vote for you as a citizen living in a rural area? Why should I vote for you?
Because it's human itself. It's very complicated individual. So we have members of our party about more than 500,000. So we say when you enter the party, when you became a member of party, that's it. You don't quit from the party. So you belong to the party. So the main thing is, as we say, it's our values. So we say we put the family in the first place, and the upbringing of the people. And we say that if there is a tree, it is not fruitful, it doesn't give you a fruit when it doesn't have roots. So you should know your roots, and we start to educate or upbring the people from the bottom, from the kindergarten. Even in our religion says that the person comes to the scholar and say, when should I start give education or breed my kid? And they, how old is your kid? And they said, oh, it's 1 year old. So you are late. You had to start from the giving, before the giving a birth. So that's why we pay more attention for bringing the people. So if you give more attention to them and you educate and you pay attention to the education upbringing, to the youth and to the women, so that's a prosperity of our nation in the future.
Yes,
that's why
we're talking about education, and then the natural question arises: the youth. We see that youth are not very much interested in political processes in Uzbekistan. So, and when we talk about Milliy Tiklanish, we don't see much affection from youth, interest in maybe visions and values of Milliy Tiklanish. So, because maybe one of the reasons might be that they are more looking into some global kind of values. Sometimes you feel like youth, for example, they feel more closer to the same youth in other countries rather than with the elders within their own country, So how do you think Milliy Tiklanish can make party more interesting to youth?
Maybe you're right. If you look to the outside, you don't, meet the people that they're interested in politics. But in our case, we have a youth wing in our party, and we have a youth parliament, who are the members of the parliament, youth parliament from our party. We teach them in schools, but as you said, in rural areas, we work a lot with them, and we explain them. And we explain them that they have to get educated and know the more language, and they get paid. For to get the international certificates if they get the IELTS and other things. So we work very closely with them, but still, not only Milliy Tiklanish, other parties also, but even, I don't know.
Of course, not only in Uzbekistan, all over the world. They are disaffected with all political parties. Of course.
We have to be more, involved with them and say, but just show them, what is the advantage of our party? What is the disadvantage what they are doing? And mainly we are paying attention now to the digitalization and the IT sphere, because the youth are more interested in IT sphere. They don't before we know in our childhood we say I want to be a doctor, I want to be the driver or other things. And if you ask from the youth about their future, and they say I want to be IT specialist, everybody says so, because they get paid more.
So we talked a little bit about youth policies of Milliy Tiklanish. Let's talk about maybe some views on foreign policy. When we talk about Milliy Tiklanish, its vision of protecting national values, how do you see interaction, current processes of maybe increasing cooperation with neighboring countries, and then maybe some kind of rivalries of between the West, Russia on one side, the China on the other side. So let's first start maybe about from Central Asia, and then proceed to the global issues. Yeah.
You're right. So, with the presence of our, starting the presidency of Mr. Mirziyoyev, we Uzbekistan start to, have a good relations, neighboring relations with the Central Asian countries, and to get the more attention of the globe. And we also, our Milliy Tiklanish party also, supports the government in this issue, and we also, support all the efforts of the government, but the national interest should be above all. I mean, our interest should not be, the discriminate or the lowered our interest.
Yeah, but when we talk about the cooperation with other countries, we think about compromises as well. So, how can you really, cope with this issue? On one hand, you have priorities of national interests, which we say above all. On the other hand, you have other nations whose interests you also should take into account. Otherwise, it's not going to be a two-way road.
Ideally, it should be like win-win, right?
Yes, it should be win-win position. So you should find the golden middle. So what we do, so yeah, it should be the win-win situation, but we should not, forget about, our interests as well. Like we should make the bilateral negotiations and multilateral negotiations as well. But at the end, not only our nation, the whole region should win. So we are making a good relations with the Turkic world, let's say Turkish speaking countries. So that's why we don't put the forward only our national interests. We put the region's interests. So in a region's interest with the China, let's say with the Russia or with the United States.
I see.
So
when you say interest, it's like common interest.
Yes, of course. So yeah, common interest. In this case, we can, the region could be developed.
Yeah. Some people start to talk about regional identity now, right? So what's your position on building? Creating regional identity where people start to feel like they're not just from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, but from Central Asia, And when they are abroad and people ask where you're from, they say, I'm from Central Asia, and they feel some kind of connections. Recently, we saw in the Olympic Games, our people were cheering for, competitors from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, the sportsmen, so it was really interesting to see.
Correct. We fully support this idea because even in a history, in our values, we didn't have Uzbek, Tajik, or Kyrgyz or Kazakh people. It was the Turkish people. I mean who lived in this area, and our scientists as well, Beruni or the Abu Ali Ibn Sina and other scientists are. They lived in Central Asia, Mawar Nahar, Khurasan, we call that time, or in Turan. So that's why even now, if you go to the Japan and you say the Uzbekistan, and they know about the Uzbekistan, but they don't know they might think that the Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan is the same country, and they say those the Silk Road countries.
Yeah,
Silk Road. Yeah. So that means they
so
consider all the Central Asian countries.
Yeah, they see
so in this sense, in this conditions, we could develop together and explain them. And so we are from the Central Asia. So this is what we do, and our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, and that's the good idea, I think. And
I think it's a very good point when you say we are developing regional identity, and we see because. In Uzbekistan, I think one of our strongest sides is that we don't really differentiate. We have so many Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Turkmen within the government as well. I believe there are many in parliament as well, right? So, I think it's our strong side. And it's good to see that Milliy Tiklanish also supports that idea, that it's not just like Uzbeks first, but it's more like Uzbekistanis and region, right?
And I think this is like the only way of surviving. This conflicts happening in the world, like great power competitions between China, Russia, and the West. And this is the only way, like when smaller states come together, they will be more powerful and around the negotiation table.
And that bigger countries can divide and rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if Uzbekistan has a 40 million population right now, I mean, it's becoming 40 million. It's if in Central Asia we have about 80 million population, so 2 times more. So I think if we cooperate together and just work together.
Yeah, it's a huge power. So when you talk about power, let's talk about the global powers and their presence in Uzbekistan, in Central Asia. So what do you think, how Uzbekistan should deal with all the global processes going on all over the world?
You know, there was one foreign minister in United States, Mr. Brzezinski, I think you've heard, and he's the book called the Great Chess. In this book, he says that who has the control over the Central Asia has the control over the world. I mean, because
Simply said, to simplify. Yeah.
So now we have a West, Russia, let's say East, China. Everybody wants to cooperate with the Central Asian countries. So, as we said, now we have to be together. We have to make that one policy for the Central Asia to negotiate with them. You know, we have to be always in a win position. And if United States says, I want to give that assistance or that the money, so we have to look at the background and do we need it, or do we have another the source? So, but never have the bad relations with the 3 of them. But it's very difficult, I know, difficult. But we say we have a national interest and then the regional interest, let's say, and put the regional interest and see at the end of the tunnel what should be in the future with this offer or proposal. So, just putting the pros and cons in a way. So we have to work in this way. Never close one door, let's say Russian door, or never close American door, or never close Chinese door.
Yeah,
but it's a difficult
big diplomacy.
Yes.
But I hope that Central Asia is not a chessboard anymore. I hope that. So like we talked about major foreign policy issues, the competition in the world. Let's transition to the question of, like, we so far has touched upon the party's positions on certain things, right? What you have done as an MP in the parliament, but you decide to re-elect for the next term, right? Can you briefly with let's say bullet points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What are your main goals in this new term?
You mean my
if you're re-elected?
The goals of the party.
No, I mean your specific goals, and you can mention the party's goals as well. What do you want to bring, to the parliament, maybe as a member of Milliy Tiklanish?
Let's talk about your personal reasons. What do you want to do in the next term if you're re-elected as a member of Milliy Tiklanish, as a member of Oliy Majlis?
Yeah, our main goal, party's goal is as we said, the development based on the values. But I wanna develop more on a economic side of the party. I mean putting the more proposals on economic side, to diversify our national economy and support more produced in Uzbekistan products, let's say. And also in this term we had with our initiatives there was adopted some change in legislation about the Islamic financing. So as you know, the 98% of our population is belongs to just Islam. So they don't want to get the interest in a loan. So we want to alternative ways of the financing as an Islamic financing. We want to adopt the law on Islamic financing. We start I want to pay more attention on a economic sphere of our the program, and develop the tourism in Uzbekistan. So it will, first of all, brings more investment, more people to Uzbekistan, and they get know more about Uzbekistan, and it gives the prosperity for the people also, for the well-being of the nation. So as per a party, still we are we want to develop our motto. I mean, the development comes through the upbringing and the education. So the second is the rule of law. We have to, ensure rule of law in Uzbekistan, and get change in a legislation saying that the non-government organization, non-government and the non-profit organization, they get more, the power in combating the corruption. And the other is the law. One of the laws in craft activity. We need more. We have to adopt the law on craft activity. Our the electorate is the intellectuals. So they are the craftsmen and the other people, so artists and the athletes and others. But I think we have a shortage. I mean, of developing the on crafts, because we have a lot of if we see the development in values. So craftsmen, crafts are very very important.
Which might promote made in Uzbekistan type of
correct
brand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but when we talk about economy and values that you are saying, the need for protecting and developing local economy, local industries, how do you see joining of Uzbekistan, the World Trade Organization? Do you think it may pose some challenges and threat to Uzbek economy and businesses?
I don't think that might give a threat, because the world, we have to be a member. It started in 1996. The negotiation to be a member of
one of the longest.
Right? It stopped. I was when I was working for the central bank, I was a member of this team. The bringing the legislation. This was one of the reasons also to go to the parliament as well. So, and stopped in 2004, then start in 2019. But becoming a member of the World Trade Organization also, it's a negotiation process. So we negotiate with the 33 countries. So it is not that there is a strict rules that you have to accept it. There is a tariff regulations. So, but we can support our made in Uzbekistan products or our national economy without non-tariff regulations. So it doesn't say non-tariff regulations. So you give all the customs, let's say, clearance other than the same for the other, the entrepreneurs or foreigners also for Uzbek people, but the supporting and giving subsidy of the other things is from the national economy. So if you're a legal entity and you're Uzbek, so you get support. It's all over the world.
It's very interesting. Yes, Milliy Tiklanish wants Uzbekistan to join World Trade Organization, and since it's mostly about tariff regulation, so there might be a kind of way to protect local businesses through non-tariff regulations.
Yeah,
so
that's
interesting. It's interesting.
That's
position.
What we want to do, and and you negotiate this with the countries also. I mean, when you negotiate, when they support, and you say this is our or even they give the WTO, or they give some subsidy or some money just to support the national economy. So it's a matter of the negotiations.
Of course. World Trade Organization. It's a good to see the point of Milliy Tiklanish. So I think we have discussed so many issues. I believe we can discuss even more. So I believe if you have any personal kind of message to First of all, your own electorate. On the other hand, we are having this discussion in English, so maybe you have something to say to our listeners from other countries, foreign experts. Please.
I would like to say thank you for your team to inviting for your podcast and just discussing our policy about our party, about the parliament, and of course, as a member of the Milliy Tiklanish party, I asked the electorates of people to vote for our country if you want to see the prosperous, the development of our country through our values, for our historical and cultural, spiritual heritage. And if you want to see, if you are indifferent in the future of our country, and if you care of your for the future for your children, and of course, if you we have a people who care about the person's dignity. So our goal also is the same with the government right now, and is there we glorify also dignity of the people, of the person. So that's why simply you vote for the Milliy Tiklanish party, and you won't have a disillusion, and you won't be disappointed or frustrated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. It really was really nice talking to you.
Thank you for inviting me.